You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. LSU football is inching toward spring football, and they have updated the roster in advance of spring football over at LSUsports.net. And if you scroll down to the quarterbacks, there's an interesting name there. There's Garrett Nussmeier, and there's Michael Van Buren, and there's Colin Hurley, and then, oh my God, there's Ju'Juan Johnson. That Ju'Juan Johnson. Ju'Juan Johnson from LCA, who played quarterback in high school, who was recruited as a cornerback, showed up on campus in fall camp, was working at Star, behind Major Burns over there. And then whenever John Emery tore his ACL, he moved to running back and actually made an impact as a freshman at running back. Well, now he's moving to quarterback. In less than a calendar year of being on LSU's campus, he's already gone from being recruited as a cornerback to playing star to playing running back, now to playing quarterback. That's a lot. First of all, so I want to tell you why they're doing this, why I like that they're doing this. Some of it's necessity. Some of it I think could work. But I also want to give a hat tip to Ju'Juan Johnson for being a team player. I mean, this is a guy who's an incredible talent who is doing anything he's being asked to do. And in this era in particular, it would be so easy to be like, you know what? Deuces. I'm going to hit the portal. I can go play defensive back somewhere exclusively where I'm going to get developed. I could go play running back somewhere exclusively where I can get developed and get reps. And I'm going to make some NIL cash. And he's just doing whatever they ask him to. And I think that's awesome. So good for him. Brian Kelly, by the way, this was Brian Kelly during the season. Remember, John Emery got hurt. And Trey Holly's legal situation still hasn't been rectified. So you had an emerging Caden Durham, which we didn't really know in September, but you had an emerging Caden Durham, Josh Williams, and then Caleb Jackson, who really didn't perform well as a sophomore. So you were paper thin at running back, and Ju'Juan Johnson moved, and here was Brian Kelly talking about it.
First of all, he was going to play on all of our special teams, and so it was important that we got him involved on one side or the other, whether it was defense or offense. And with the way we're playing our defensive structure, he wasn't going to get a lot of playing time there. So we knew on offense there were enough roles that we could get him involved. So he's going to play with some running back, some slot receiver. He can do a lot of different things, and we can craft an offensive structure around him. And what we found out is he picks things up really well. So it was a decision that we were going to play him as a freshman. He was already involved in a lot of special teams, and he was able to pick things up really quickly.
Okay, I also want to point out that moving Ju'Juan Johnson to quarterback, it's not like just taking an athlete who played quarterback in high school and moving him back there. We've seen that before. Look, John Trey Kirkland played quarterback in high school, and out of necessity, before the Texas Bowl against Kansas State in 2021, he played and it was atrocious in that game. Now, LSU had, 38 scholarship players, so that was hardly fair worth judging. But we've seen this over the course of the years where guys play high school quarterback because they're the best athlete on their team. Corey Webster was a high school quarterback. Kendall Beckwith, who played linebacker at LSU, was a high school quarterback. It's just common to see this. But Ju'Juan Johnson wasn't just an athlete playing quarterback. He set the Louisiana State high school record for yards and touchdowns in a career. 14,451 yards, 171 touchdowns. He was Mr. Football in the state in 2023. And despite playing quarterback in high school, he was a top 10 cornerback recruit in the country. In the state championship game as a sophomore, he accounted for nearly 600 yards. In the state championship game. For his career, he threw for 10,500 yards and 117 touchdowns. That's passing. He threw for 10,000 yards and 117 touchdowns. Oh, by the way, ran for 4,000 more. So, yeah, he can play quarterback. Now he's 5'11", 203. He doesn't have prototypical size, and it might be a better situation if he were playing quarterback in like Chip Kelly's blur offense at Oregon back in like 2010 instead of this offense in the SEC in 2024. So I'm not trying to make him into something he's not. You don't see a lot of 5'11" quarterbacks crushing it. But then again, Diego Pavia fared pretty well this year at Vanderbilt. I'm not saying there's tons of projectability to the next level. I'm saying, can you play that position at this level and be competitive? Yes, it's possible. But the reason this is happening, like there's a singular reason that this is happening. It's not because they think Ju'Juan Johnson's going to be the next great quarterback at LSU. They need bodies because the whole thing got uprooted. The whole quarterback room got turned on its head with Bryce Underwood and then Colin Hurley's injury. So follow me here. The season ends, you're getting Nussmeier back. So at the time, you've got Nussmeier, Ricky Collins, A.J. Swan, Colin Hurley. You got 4. And you think you're getting Bryce Underwood. That's 5. You're good there. Well, we know what happens. Underwood flips to Michigan. And then Nussmeier announces he's returning. So Collins and Swan leave. So now you're down to 2. Now you've got Nussmeier and Hurley. That's it. You got to go into the portal. You do. You get Van Buren. That's 3. And now you've added Emil Picarella, who's going to be a preferred walk-on, who's a 3-star from U-High. At one point was a top 10 quarterback in the country for the class of 2025 early in his career. But in June you'd have 4. You'd have Nuss, Van Buren, Colin Hurley, and Picarella. You'd have those 4. That's enough. But you're going to go to spring ball right now, and Picarella's not here yet. He's still in high school. And Colin Hurley had his car wreck, and he's home in Jacksonville. At least that's what Brian Kelly told us a week ago, was that he was recovering at home in Jacksonville. Well, if you're at home, then you're not taking classes. And if you're not taking classes, then you're not going to participate in spring football. As of now. Okay, we don't know how it all plays out. That could change. So you got 2. That's it. There's no more walk-ons. Like, get 2 right now. You know the phrase camp arm? The reason that NFL teams bring camp arms in is that so that their quarterbacks aren't throwing every single pass, every single practice, every single day. You get arm fatigue. You wear your arm out. You've got to have other guys out there that can throw the ball for you. Plus, like, you have different drills going on where you have the quarterback running the offense, but then who's throwing passes to the receivers? Who's throwing balls to the defensive backs in ball skill drills? Like, a lot of times those are the walk-ons and the scout team quarterbacks. Well, you got to have guys that can throw the football. Well, here you have a guy that's very experienced in doing that. So it's another body available for you in spring. And that's why they're doing this. Like, if Colin Hurley were healthy, if Bryce Underwood had signed with LSU, they're not moving Ju'Juan Johnson to offense. So they're not doing it because they think they're going to nail it and find the next great quarterback that's going to win championships for you. But I would also position it this way. You know, you went and added 2 running backs in this recruiting cycle. So you've got Caden Durham, you've got Caleb Jackson coming back, and you added a 5-star in Harlan Berry, and you added Simon. So you got 4 scholarship running backs right now, and next week is when it's 6 days from now, the 19th, is when Trey Holly's next court hearing is. That could be rectified. So Holly could be back. You could be back to 5 scholarship running backs. Then what do you do with Ju'Juan Johnson? You move back to defense? Okay, well, I told you he was working out at Star. You know who also is playing Star? Harold Perkins, who's back. And they moved Javen Toviano to safety as well. And you went and got Tamarcus Cooley out of the transfer portal. And you got Mansour Delane who could play corner or safety. Point is, like, where do you put Ju'Juan Johnson? I don't know. And this is feeling a little like the Russell Shepard situation. And it's odd it's been this long that I have to explain it because Russell Shepard hasn't played at LSU now in 15 years. But Russell Shepard was the number one quarterback in the country. He shows up at LSU. They promised him he would have an opportunity to play quarterback, and it just didn't work. And from that point on, after his first year, he bounced around a ton. He played receiver. He played running back. He played all over the place, and they just never found a home for him where he just honed his skills doing that one thing and became great at it. But because he was such a phenomenal athlete, he made the NFL as a receiver and a special teamer and played darn near a decade because he was an awesome athlete. And it feels like history is repeating itself a little bit with Ju'Juan Johnson. But what I would say to you is Ju'Juan Johnson would be buried so far down the depth chart at running back and in the defensive backfield right now that, and you have such a need at quarterback, that I'm okay letting him go park it there at quarterback to see if he can do it at this level, if nothing else for this spring. And if, when the fall rolls around, and Picarella's on campus, and if Colin Hurley's back and healthy, which we hope is the case, and you got 4, maybe you don't need him there. And he can go do the thing, whatever the thing is that you choose that he's going to do. Running back, defensive back, whatever. And he can hammer down and be a contributor for you in 2025, and then hopefully like a star caliber player for you in 2026. But this we're continuing to see the residual impact of the Bryce Underwood flip. And I don't mean to keep bringing that up, but this is part of that. Because if Bryce Underwood were on campus, you're not making this move. And you thought you were set with Nuss in 25, then Underwood in 26, 27, then you would have signed Elijah Haven, and then Haven would have been 28, 29, and you were set at quarterback. You thought, anyway, you had your path, like as you had mapped it out. Well, when Underwood flipped and you didn't sign a quarterback for 2025, it has caused this staff to have to shift and evolve and move all these different parts and work to remake that room. And thank God Nussmeier came back because it saves you, it really propels you for 2025, but it also buys you time to figure out 26 and beyond. And that's critically important. And maybe Ju'Juan Johnson's a part of it. Maybe he's just a camp arm this spring. And if he is, okay, because you need that this spring. Like that is how he would best serve your team this spring. And maybe long term, he's going to be a better option at quarterback than at any other position. Maybe, or maybe not. And maybe in the fall, your numbers reset and you're good and he can go back and play defensive back or running back or whatever it's going to be, and I hope he has an awesome career. But I get why they're doing it, and it's the right thing to do right now because it's going to help make you better in the spring. And also, just a major salute to a really talented dude who in an era of me, is raising his hand saying, Coach, what do you need me to do? I'll do whatever you need me to do. You need me to play quarterback in the spring? Cool. You need me to switch to running back in September? Got it. I played quarterback but signed as a cornerback. You want me to play star? Let's do it. You want me to be on every special teams unit? I'm in. I love that. Every team, every great team needs dudes like that, and Ju'Juan Johnson showing you over and over again he's willing to do it, and I salute him for it. Awesome dude, great team dude, great athlete. Hope he maximizes wherever it is on the field, but it'll be quarterback in the spring. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.